Hi, my name's Ace. I talk sometimes on YouTube, and today I want to talk about being dumb, like the dumb stereotype. Characters like Karen Smith, Haley Dunphy, Kat Ballantyne are all characters who I find myself to really relate to in media. Not because they're necessarily dumb, but because they weren't always dumb. Maybe not with Karen Smith, her being dumb is like her whole thing, but characters, especially like Kat Valentine and Haley Dunphy, before they were fully formed as characters in their series, were at a point not actually that dumb. They were just witty and maybe would swing between different moods. And for a long time, for most of my life, I've always really related to characters like that. And it's kind of sad, because they start out being really witty and really interesting, and then they just become kind of a joke. And I think that I relate to that in the way that I have a lot of friends who are really, really clever. And don't get me wrong, I'm really grateful to have such clever friends. I think that that's great. But at the same time, a lot of the time it makes me feel like I'm not clever. And for a long time, I would play to this aspect of my personality or of who I was, and I would act not witty, I would act airheaded, and like I didn't know how to count to 10 because I thought that it would make me funny. But I think you have to realize that dumb characters in media aren't real people, but you are. And I think that there are other people who have experienced this, who have done this to themselves, just to feel like they could be funny. And I don't know what to say about that. But it's important to remember that you're more than your smarts. Just because you're not good at maths, or just because you, aren't as clever as the rest of your friends, it doesn't determine your worth. And for a long time, I would compare myself to characters like that and think that is all I am, and that's all I'm going to try and be, because nobody thinks that I'm clever, so why should I try and be anything else? I think a big part of what helped motivate that mindset was my school. I didn't have a good experience in secondary school, and a lot of my teachers just thought that I was not clever. I really badly wanted to do separate science for my GCSEs because I loved science. I didn't get the highest grades in science though. And my teachers advised me against it and told me separate science is generally for faster thinkers. And I wasn't having this, so I just said, you think I'm dumb? I want to say that obviously my teachers didn't actually think I was dumb, but it was so strikingly obvious when they told me that I might not be as suited to separate science because I might struggle with how quickly they move between subjects and lessons. I knew that my teachers thought that I wasn't clever. And I think that that is a shitty thing to go through. That's not a nice thing to deal with at 14 years old, to be told by your teachers who are meant to motivate you and help you learn and make you want to go to school, tell you that essentially you're not clever enough. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. I think it works the other way around as well. A lot of my friends who are so clever reduce themselves only to the fact that they're good at maths or good at science or whatever subject they do. And that's just not how it is. You can be so much more than how you do academically. And I think when you're a teenager, when you're anywhere between 13 and 18, it's hard to remember that because so much of your life focuses on education and school, and I think that's really crappy. Like, I think that the world shouldn't have to work like that. So many people who I know detriment themselves and their only worth to their grades and how they do in school or in college. And I see them just overworking themselves all the time, and they forget how to enjoy themselves, and they feel like crap when they get a B instead of an A or an 8 instead of a 9 on something. And it's like, do you realize how good you are? Do you realize what I would do for a grade like that? I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I just think that we need to have more respect for dumb women in media. I don't know if that makes sense, but the actresses who play dumb women in media often get remembered for that. Take Ariana Grande playing Kat Valentine. A lot of people who don't know who she is as well will only ever determine her to Kat Valentine, someone who's not smart. And I think that that's really sad. Ariana Grande is a talented woman who's very clever and shouldn't be reduced down to one character that she's played. It's something that definitely does suck about the acting industry. I think the moral of the story, like what I'm trying to make from this video, is don't water your personality down to being smart or being dumb or anything like that. You are worth so much more than your grades. So much more. And I think that the education system sucks. Like, it's so balls. And you shouldn't compare yourself to other people or to fictional characters, because that's just, it's not accurate. Fictional characters are almost hardly ever as real and fleshed out as you, as a real person. You have to remember that you're not just an A in maths, you're not just someone who's stupid. You have to remember that you're more than that. Your interests, you are the people you love. And I think that's what's really important. You're not stupid. And stupid women in media deserve better. They deserve to not feel stupid. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's me. Have a good one.